Yo, yo, yo. We are back. It's another episode. It's the Savs and Four. We sweeping the competition. And we definitely swept the competition. This past weekend, we were in Vegas. We were there for the fight. Showing the merch, Brian. Showing the merch for the YouTube.
Right there. We was live, direct.
Got the hat and the shirt.
Right.
Yes, sir, man.
I see y'all.
Shout out to Las Vegas, man. Like,
Man.
there's no city that does big events like Las Vegas does it, man. Like, it's not even close, bro.
The fight capital of the world.
I had never been to anything like that. Like, I was telling Brad, like, I've been to NFL playoff games, NBA playoff games. I was at the Final Four last year. I was at MLS, Charlotte FC's first game. Like, I'd have pretty much been to almost any sporting event you can go to. That shit right there might be at the top. I will not even lie to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
The environment, even in the airport, was something. Like, it was different. It was a different atmosphere. You could feel it. We couldn't make the weigh-in because my flight got delayed, but the weigh-in was sold out basically. T-Mobile Arena was basically full for the weigh-in. They actually had to open up the upper level for the weigh-in. Like, that's how deep it was. And for all the buzz, there's not a lot of buzz around this fight. You couldn't tell in Vegas, man. Everybody was there for the fight. It was probably like, it was a lot of people from Charlotte there. A lot. There was a lot of people from Charlotte there.
Flight was full, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
20,000 men. T-Mobile Arena definitely ready for an NBA team, bro.
Yes,
Vegas,
I can vouch for that. Yes, they are.
Yeah, definitely ready.
Most definitely they are.
They're ready.
and shout out to these surgeons, bro. Because it was BBL heaven out there, bro.
That 100% times 12.
Fellas, if you are single and you trying to find something nice, go to a boxing match. Literally in between one of the undercards, we were just sitting there for about 10, 15 minutes trying to get my phone charged. I was just watching it walk by. Like, damn, there go another one. Damn, you see that? You see that, bro?
I tell you, you will break a vertebrae. I'm telling you, your head will be like this.
Head on the swivel, huh?
Head on a swivel. Like
Hey,
you're a
man.
linebacker in the NFL. Your head is on a swivel.
Shout out to my boss, Vashai, bro. She said going to a boxing match was like going to a club, and that shit was so true, bro.
It was a club vibe.
And I know T-Mobile Arena had that joint rocking because I was there for the Chris Brown concert, so I know they had. It felt like it was a party out there, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, man. When the first knockdown of the Spence-Crawford fight,
Oh man.
that pop was one of the loudest pops I ever heard at any event, including NFL stadiums, bro.
Damn.
I think I blacked out for a half a second.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
Blacked out.
Forgot where I was because the place erupted. I think you would have.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Hey, Brad, you blacked out and then tweeted about it, bro.
Yes.
That's a professional, Dave. That's a professional for you.
Man.
That's a professional for you right there.
That man was holding it down.
I was like, this. Me and T just looked at each other like he really just went down. This isn't the 6th or 8th round. This is the 2nd round.
Yeah.
People are
man.
getting into it, and when it happened, that arena lost their collective mind. And from that point on, it was a buzz throughout the arena.
Yeah, I had out-of-body experience, bro. I literally had chills, bro. The ring walk, the everything, bro. There's nothing. The build-up is like nothing. Like there's no sporting event that has a build-up like that, man. The tension was there, and I will say this, bro. It was a lot of Errol Spence fans in Vegas. You know, wearing the man down T-shirts and strap season.
Yeah.
It was a lot of Crawford fans in the arena, bro. Like, I don't know where they were on the strip or whatever, but they showed up to the arena, bro. Because when they showed Spence on the big screen, of course, he got a loud pop. I knew that, but then when they showed Crawford, it was almost more Crawford fans than Spence fans. I'm not even joking, y'all. Like, I couldn't believe it, bro.
Yeah, I heard it on the TV.
I couldn't believe it, bro.
Yeah.
We were sitting beside a Bud fan in our section. And there was a Crawford fan. There was a Crawford fan beside us, and there was a Spence fan below us. And they were going at it the entire time. It was hilarious.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
After that knockdown, he was like, "You ain't got nothing to say?" You ain't got nothing to say. I was like, oh, it's
about to be a fight in the section.
No, that was fights
There was fights all weekend. There was fights all weekend. She's get turned.
Yeah.
Hey man, the only person that might have had a worse week than Errol Spence, and I'm not trying to slander Errol Spence because that's BT's boy, but the only people that had worse weekend were the Charlo brothers and Al Heyman, bro.
yeah. The fight started at the weigh-in. That's backstage.
But yeah, bro. But we gonna get into it, man. Like Terence Crawford. First round was an Errol Spence round. It was typical, bro. Like I was telling Brad, this is gonna be a Spence round. I knew it was gonna be off the rip, man. Bud Crawford was downloading data, as I said on the pod last week, as I said on my video for Carolina Blitz, as I said on the video for the pod. Like Bud Crawford was going to download data. Now, what got me was he came out in southpaw. He usually starts off in orthodox, but he comes out in southpaw. Now, being up there, I was telling Brad he was in southpaw the whole time, but Bud Crawford is so crafty. When Spence shifted to his right, Bud Crawford's left, Bud Crawford subtly switched into orthodox and landed some power shots with his right hand. It's very subtle, man. But like Bud's camp, they watched the film. They had a game plan. They executed the game plan to perfection. Let me tell y'all something. That performance was one of the best performances in any sport that I have seen in a long time. Like, and to be honest with you, if I could give it an equivalent, I was telling Brad this, and I was waiting on this. I was gonna put it in the pod, but to me, that reminded me of LeBron's Game 6 performance in Boston. And here's why. And BT, I want to know if you agree with this. All the last couple years, Bud Crawford's had to hear about his competition. He had to hear that he was ducking. When they showed the Errol Spence and Sean Porter fight, they showed all the champs in the welterweight division at that time. The one champion they did not show was Bud Crawford. The PBC and Fox, they didn't even acknowledge Bud Crawford as a champion back in 2019 when Spence fought Sean Porter.
Mm-hmm.
He had to listen to all this, Top Rank wasn't, he didn't fought anybody. Then when he actually fought some common opponents that Errol Spence fought, it was they were older, they were washed, whether it was Kell Brook, whether it was Sean Porter. He had to hear a lot of noise. And going up the build to the fight, when I watched all the press conferences, Errol looked, I'm not going to say he looked lackadaisical, but Bud Crawford wanted this shit more than Errol Spence. Bud had a killer look in his eye at all the pressers. Bud was actually, like I was telling you, this was the most like personality we've seen from Bud Crawford in a presser in a long time. Like he was talking, Bomac was talking, the whole camp was talking, his sister was talking. They definitely had more of an edge than Spence's camp, except for some of Errol's people that were sitting, not on the stage but near the front row at the press conference, and then Crawford went right back at him. Then when you see them walking towards the tunnel, Errol just had a look. I don't know what it was. Some people on Twitter were saying that he looked like he was high. Other people looked like he just wasn't into it. I don't know. But I know Bud Crawford looked focused. He wanted this shit more. And like I said, you think about LeBron in 2012, his back was against the wall against Boston. They were down 3-2. If he loses that game, the whole big three, he airs over. If Bud Crawford had lost this fight, all the noise that he heard would have been validated. His comp was weak. He ain't fighting nobody. He hasn't been tested. Now he lost against a fighter that's been battle tested. All of that would have been whatever. He silenced any doubter he had. That was probably the biggest masterclass of an elite opponent that I've seen probably since Floyd versus Canelo. In the second round, he hit him with the left right so fast. I think Brad was looking at his phone trying to tweet, and it happened so quickly. Everybody stood up And then when Brad saw the replay, he saw what happened. He's like, God damn, that was fast. And the crazy thing is that I'm gonna give it to y'all. I'm gonna give y'all something simple. So Errol Spence came out in Southpaw. I watched some film afterwards because, like, when you're up there, you can't necessarily see certain things in certain angles at times. So what he did is very subtle. We talked about this. Remember, I said Bud Crawford likes to fight on the outside. Errol, I also told y'all that Errol Spence lunges at his opponents, and his defense is sus.
Yeah.
When Errol jabbed, he did not move at all. He stayed what's called on the line, which is directly in front of your opponent. So with Bud Crawford neutralized his jab, he would jab with him. And also, he did something very subtle. So a lot of times when boxers, don't put my mic down real quick. Bud was in southpaw. His right foot was here. So his right hand was his lead hand. What he did was he was blocking Spencer's jab with his left hand. He was coming across. One, it gives him more leverage against the punch because when you're here, sometimes the punch can go back a little bit. When you're here, you have a little more leverage. Your forearms here. Very subtle. But also, he would subtly slide to the outside, and which would set up a counter hook, or he would slide this way on the outside and hit him with the 1-2. That's what happened in the second round. He was here. He blocked the punch, slid just to the outside enough, and he was in southpaw. So this punch was actually the power punch, but Bud fights in both sets, and both his hands are his power hands. One punch, bam. Then he caught Errol. When he caught Errol, I didn't notice until I watched some of the film. Errol's back foot was actually up in the air. He was on one leg when he dropped him.
Yeah.
It happened to Errol Spence actually several times in the fight. Bud Crawford's timing was impeccable. And the thing that shocked me also was, in my opinion, we talk about Errol being the bully, but Bud Crawford was the bully. When they were on the inside, you saw Crawford shove and shoulder block Spence off of him. He was pushing his arm to where he wanted to be to set up those counters. Bud Crawford was actually the stronger fighter of the two on Saturday. Surprisingly.
That elbow was a shield. That
Yeah.
elbow was key.
And you don't see a lot of fighters actually do that. Floyd does it, though. But when you're here and you're a counterpuncher, you want to get on the outside. You want to move slowly to set up those counters. That's exactly what Bud did, man. And then also, if you notice in the seventh round when Bud knocked him down on the ropes, Bud baited him to come. And this is very subtle. And I watched the film. He actually leaned back against the ropes, blocked the punch, and then used the ropes to kind of springboard a little bit forward and hit him with the uppercut. And Errol landed a shot, but Bud ate that shit. And then he came back with a counter to knock Spence down. But he actually used the ropes to springboard and give himself a little bit of boost. It's very subtle. And a casual would not pay attention to that. But I watched the film and I watched this breakdown I put in the chat. And I saw, I was like, he actually springboarded off the ropes. Bam, uppercut. Errol Spence didn't have a plan B. When his jab got taken away, he was trying to lunge and jab to the body, which you can't do against a fighter of that caliber. And also, Errol Spence's footwork was atrocious. And I'm not trying to bash Errol. I like Errol Spence. I really do. His footwork was atrocious. He was off balance. His stance was wide. He was lunging. And then because he was lunging so far, he had to step back so far. His foot was in the air, and that's when Bud caught him. And if you looked at one of the knockdowns, it was on the ropes. When Errol threw a punch and Bud blocked it, his eyes were locked in right on Errol, and he had to look at the face like, yeah, I got you. Hit him with the uppercut. And then, even like I said, Errol landed a nice punch over the top. A lot of dudes would have been effective, but Bud actually had a chin. Like, Errol landed some shots.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because he got beat up so badly early from the second round on. He was just getting battered. And that was the first time that Errol Spence has been knocked down in any fight. Because of the Ugas fight, his mouthpiece came out. That don't really count. That don't count. And I felt like Errol psychologically was pressing after knock. That's why he was trying to lunge and bully. But Bud actually at times was inviting him because Bud's inside defense was on point. He was catching a lot of those punches that Errol was trying to throw to the body. He would catch it and then hit him with a looping shot back before Errol even knew what was coming. It was yeah, like the Bomac, I gotta give him credit. There was a lot of talk of Derek James being trainer of the year, which I mean he has a great stable of fighters, but Bomac had a better game plan than Derek James. Like it is what it is. Like we don't have no agendas. We tell it like it is. Bomac outcoached Derek James. Straight up. Straight up. It was such a masterclass that Bud really didn't have to go to orthodox except when Errol moved and he kind of positioned himself subtly to get in orthodox. Bud didn't even go to orthodox. Orthodox is actually his best stand. That's where actually his more power punches come from. And for a fighter to land 60% of his power punches is absurd. For a fighter to land 50% of his punches is absurd. Even 42% of his jabs. He landed 87 jabs in 9 rounds. He almost landed 10 jabs per round. Casuals don't know how ridiculous that is. And from a counterpuncher, not just a brawler, that's a counterpuncher. The stiff jab was killing Spence. The hooks, the looping hooks that we talked about that I mentioned on the videos, and like Errol was lunging in, and like I said, when you lunge in, like we said last week, when you lunge in, you better have your hands up, or you better have a good slip game and a good defensive game. But Errol's defensive game at times has left him open. We've seen it in fights before, but
Yeah.
the difference is that when he fought Sean Porter likes to fight on the inside too. Like Sean Porter's just going to stand right in front of you. Errol's just going to stand right in front of you. They're going to just throw blows right in front of each other. Crawford moved so subtly and was able to set up the angles for a lot of shots that Errol just didn't even see coming. There were times where Errol thought a punch was coming low and they came high. Like Crawford, we mentioned it. Like BT, you even said it yourself. Like Crawford was the more skilled fighter. We just thought Errol fought better comp and was bigger. It was going to bully him with the inside game, with the body shots. But Errol couldn't even get to the body shots. And when he did get inside, Crawford punished him for coming inside. So, and like Errol Spence is still, in my opinion, a top 10 pound for pound fighter. It's his only loss. He took a chance. He put his O on the line. But in my opinion, even if this fight was at 154, I thought Bud would seeing what I saw, Bud would have won at 154. The knockdown might have been delayed a couple more rounds, maybe, but he's the better boxer at the end of the day. Bud Crawford is the better boxer. He can hit you with more. He can beat you in more ways. He can switch stances. He can fight on the outside. He had better defense. He actually had more power, which actually, I guess, coming in the fight, we thought Spence was the bigger fighter, but Bud was actually stronger. And we knew he was athletic, but we thought Spence was like going to bully him. That didn't happen. Bud was actually bullying Spence. Bud was the one pushing Spence back, pushing where he wanted to be, not Spence. Spence's jab didn't have a lot of pop to it, especially after the knockdown. The first round, it was a typical Spence start, but after that, he just didn't have it. Like I was telling Brad at the fight, none of his punches have any pop. They weren't crisp. They weren't fast. He looked slow. And like I said, even at 154, Bud would have won the fight. Now, the rematch, they will move up to 154 because even Bud said he doesn't want to be at 147 much longer. And hell, he has nothing to prove. He's undisputed. He is the first fighter to be 2-time undisputed in 2 different divisions, with a chance to be undisputed in the 3rd division. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But Bud Crawford proved all his haters wrong. Like, he is the pound for pound king. Inoue had a great performance. And I don't know if Bud heard the noise about the pound for pound, because I'm sure he did, because after Tuesday when Inoue beat Fulton, there's a whole talk about Inoue being pound for pound number 1. That talk is over after Saturday. Bud is pound for pound number 1.
And you said wait. They was talking too soon. You said wait.
Wait.
We gotta fight. We gotta fight this weekend.
Yeah. And that was a top 5 fighter that he dominated. Like, that's not, again, it's easy to kick Errol Spence while he's down and talk trash, but that was a top 5 fighter. That's one of the best welterweights we've seen in the last 20 years. One of the best fighters we've seen in the last 20 years. It's just that styles make fights. In Bud's style, Bud had too many ways he could beat Errol. Bud he's just a more skilled boxer at the end of the day. And that's that. As far as that, the environment was great. The build up to the fight was great. The energy in the arena was great. Like I said, when Bud popped him in the second round, that's one of the loudest pops from a crowd I've ever witnessed, including, like I said, playoff football, playoff basketball. Like that shit was electric. But now, Bud is the king of boxing, man. Like that's all I can say, man. BT, you're the other, I guess, boxing guru on the panel. So I know you're an Errol fan, and I know you picked Errol. So I want to hear your thoughts. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about what you saw on Saturday.
Yeah, man. What I saw, I did not expect to see, bro. Like you said, I'm a big Arrow fan. I've been a fan since 2015, so I watched most of this man fights. And what he did Saturday, he hasn't done in none of his fights. He was passive. His defense was off. Power was off. He looked zoned out. Like when I seen him walking into the arena, he looked high. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he was or not, but he just looked, something was off about Arrow, man. I'm not giving this man no excuses.
I'm not trying to cut you off. Can I just add that onto that? I saw like people on Twitter saying that sometimes Errol's not disciplined. He goes out and parties, he drinks, and whatever. And I was talking, JB called me. He's like, did you see Errol Spence out and about somewhere on Friday? And I was like, nah. But I mean, honestly, the way he looked, it wouldn't shock me if he was out. I hope not. Because I hope you have more discipline in that, knowing who you're fighting.
What type of fight this is?
Biggest fight of your life, man. Biggest
fight
of
your life. The biggest
but
fight of his career.
But when you see the way he looked, and then you see people saying that there's times where he's not disciplined.
He looked out of it. Like minutes before the fight, like when they were announcing their names, he looked so out of it. He looked like, where am I? Like that's his eyes just look. They were just kind of going around. He just didn't look like he was ready to fight.
He didn't, man. Like you said, the more focused fighter was Terence. Like Terence took this shit personal, bro. He took this shit serious, and everyone was just there. I don't want to say it, bro, but I think he was just there for the money, bro. Because I know this fight generated a lot of money. Yeah. And I know back in the day he said he wanted to, be undisputed and all that. But I think deep down inside he knew he couldn't fuck with Bud. So he was just there for the money, bro. Because after the first round, it was just, all right, I'm just here.
Gave up.
I'm just going to get my ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what happened. So I was surprised, man. I did not expect to see that at all. But Bud had a nasty game plan.
But question for you, BT, because at the weigh-in, Errol, he looked at Bud and said, thank you for making this fight happen, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, like, with the point that you're making about he was just there for the money, or he may have just been there for the bag, could that have been like kind of a prelude to what was going to happen Saturday, as far as him just being like, okay?
I'm glad you asked that, because it just felt weird. Yeah, like,
because that was interesting to me, because I've never seen that. Because every weigh-in, every face-off, it's always like they're either looking at each other, they're talking shit. Like him.
Right. So at the weigh-in,
I understand they're good friends, but it was weird.
At the weigh-in, right? They was like, you can thank me for the fight. You know what I'm saying? Bud said we're gonna make history. Spence said we're gonna make bank too, and I was like, okay. You gonna say that at the weigh-in? We're gonna make bank. Microphone. You know what I'm saying? So,
I got a question. I'm sorry, BT. I'm not gonna cut you off, but I got a question for you and everybody else, bro. Because I've been thinking about it. It was all this talk about Bud ducking, Bud this, Bud that. Do you think, in your opinion, that Al Heyman, PBC, knew that Bud was the better fighter, and they dragged it out as long as he can? Because we know how this boxing game is.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest with you, the reason why I bring that up, because it was surprising. Like when I was seeing like who the actual boxers were picking, 80% of the fighters were picking Crawford.
Exactly.
He's like a boxer's boxer, so they were all picking him. Yeah, I mean,
Canelo.
T was listing out the names to me while we were standing outside. He was like, "Brad,
Canelo, Sean Porter."
I was seeing that.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Oscar. Didn't Pacquiao?
Mike Tyson.
Pacquiao beat
Mike Tyson. Pacquiao.
Bradley did as well.
We know why Bradley did.
Man, Bradley, bro.
Nobody talking about Patrick. Nobody talking about boxing. Patrick Beverly right now, man. Like, get the fuck out of here with him.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about him, bro.
Boxing, woo.
We're gonna talk about him.
That's nasty.
But the reason why I asked that because I think deep down inside, Errol felt like he could win the fight, but he knew that this was going to be
his
hardest fight.
The toughest, but
and he just looked like I'm not going to say he was like scared, but he looked like just really like happy to be there. Yeah, timid. Yeah, like
I'm just here. I'm just
here.
Bud
was like, all right, yeah, I've heard you. Bud was like, yeah, I heard your camp talk. I heard PBC talk. I heard Al Heyman talking. It's funny because Bud Crawford did not thank Al Heyman at his post-fight presser. He said nothing about Al Heyman at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he remembered that shit when they put all those welterweight champions on the screen back in 2019, but they did not put Crawford up there. He was the WBO champ. They had Manny Pacquiao up there. They had Sean Porter up there. There was somebody else that had a belt at welterweight, maybe the Ring Magazine belt, but they did not have Bud Crawford up there. Like,
wow.
Now, after the fight, you got people saying that PBC was ducking. First, before the fight, it was Crawford's ducking. Now the narrative has changed. It was PBC, Al Heyman, protection program, all this stuff, man. Like some of the agendas coming out of this fight have been quite interesting, bro.
Wow.
But
I think they waited for the right time because it was for undisputed. If it happened before, it would have been like for unification.
Yeah.
So I think they set it up perfectly for it to be undisputed.
Yeah, I think the timing of it was. I'm not upset about the timing of the fight. Some people were saying maybe, Spence before the accident, but Spence made no excuses at all. I don't think the accident affected him in this fight. I think honestly, in my opinion, I think even before the accident, but the way that Bud fought the fight, watching his strategy, I think he would have won even before the accident.
Yeah, he would.
Just my opinion. Like, he was the better fighter. Like, it was crazy because there were times where Bud was like in the middle after he knocked Spence down, he went right to Charlo. Was like, "You're next," and grabbed his dick and like, "Yeah, I'm that nigga. You're next."
Yeah,
that was crazy.
You're in the middle of a fight. I'm in the middle of a fight.
We love nigga shit.
I turn to you and say, "You're next." Like,
I love the ignorance. I love
you beating the fuck out of somebody, and then you turn to somebody else and be like, "Yeah, you next." You know how menacing that is, bro.
I love niggas.
But boxing version of a I am him moment. I just knocked this dude out. I turn to you and try to say you're next.
But we seen this before because y'all know I love my comics. I love my superheroes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like T, you brought up a good point how this felt like a LeBron Game 6 moment because for the past few days I've just been trying to figure out this feeling that I had post fight of like, what did I just witness and everything like that? And it's like,
don't say it.
It's like no. It's like because like I was going for Spence too, but it was just like what Crawford did. It's like damn. It's like you just gotta respect what he did. Like the dominance that he had in that ring, you just gotta respect what he did. And what took me back was when Bank got that nigga Bruce out there on the Gotham and called him lacking, bro. That's what it looked like to me, man. That's
exactly what it felt like, man.
That's what
it did feel like.
Because
that's what it felt.
Think darkness is your friend.
Remember when you walk.
He thought the bell was his friend, and it wasn't.
When you walk into the arena to see Dark Knight Rises, did you expect that ass whooping that Batman was going to take?
No.
You did not.
No. Even if you read the comics, like the comic books themselves, nothing prepared you for that ass whooping in the first hour of that movie. You're like, huh?
Yeah.
Like Batman got done like that?
You may have expected like to be like you to win, but like you didn't expect it to be like that. Like you didn't expect like no Heinz Field tear that shit up type of
because you gotta understand this wasn't like the comic version of Bane when he all juiced up, he got the venom going through him, this was like realistic, like normal human dude with asthma versus dude like that got back in the game and everything. So it was like yo, it was just a crazy sight to see, but like T pointed out, and shout out to T because he's been giving us good content to watch before and after the fight. When they was breaking down Crawford and Spence, the two things I took away about what they broke down about Crawford was his IQ, how he adapt, and then his counter punching. And then when I heard that counter punching segment, I was like, that was the first time I actually had some worry about Spence, because I seen in the Ugas fight, Sean Porter was able to do it. Shit, we can even go back to the Garcia fight. We seen it plenty of time. He got away with it, but when Spence throws that jab and he leaves himself wide open, he been getting tagged sometimes. He was just able to get out of them fights. We knew Crawford was going to be a stronger opponent, and we knew he was going to be a more disciplined opponent. So when I saw that he was lunging in the first round and then he kept going to it in the second round, and then that's when the knockout happened, that's why I was like, this is bad. And then when he went to the corner and they didn't have, like you said, there was no plan B. The man, once that jab was taken away, the plan broke down. It's like when you watch an NFL game and you saw somebody take the running away from a running power team.
Yeah.
So once you took that bread and butter away, it just looked like it was just going downhill ever since, man. Like it like Stephen A. said, it was an ass whooping. And I hate that because Spence is a good fighter. Like what people have to understand, he got his ass whooped, but Spence is a good fighter. We just gotta give Bud the props that he deserved for what he did, because that's how great he looked in that fight this weekend. Like it was like, and we should have known, like the man came out to Eminem.
Yeah.
He came out to lose yourself.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
because I know we all play sports. We all play sports in here, right? We all We all gotta go back to when Lose Yourself first came out. You know, Bamos was playing it. You was playing that before your basketball game, your football game, your baseball game, before you go to an interview, before you was going to talk to a chick. Like, you was playing that song for motivation before anything you did back in the day. Like,
you couldn't go on the court without playing that song.
So when he came out with Eminem, I can only imagine what the arena was like when you saw Slim Shady come out there. Because when we was at home watching that joint, we was like, I cannot believe this is happening.
As a person that was there, the energy was just when Eminem opened up his mouth, the crowd lost it. They lost it because they didn't think it was really going to be him. And
like the chills came. The chills came to me.
And it was just it was a totally different atmosphere after that point on. I mean, Spence's interest was cool. He had a Dallas rapper. And
no, I'm gonna let you finish. I got something to say about that.
Yeah. Who did he have?
Big X the Plug.
BX the Plug. Because I had to ask the gentleman next to me, like, yo, who was the rapper? He knew him. And it was just like, people bought everybody was kind of like, oh, okay, like, all right. Because they're thinking this is an undisputed title fight. We've seen entrances over the years have been just outrageous. Costumes, everything else, major rappers, everything. I remember the year that, who was it? Floyd had Triple H bring him out. He had a belt. I mean, just outrageous type of stuff.
Right.
So for him just to bring out this Dallas rapper, everybody was kind of like, okay, you could have got Yellow Beezy. Like, he ain't doing nothing. Like,
I say you could have got Yellow Beezy, man.
Somebody. Yeah. I was asking people in front of me, like, who do you think is going to come out? Where everybody was like, well, Bud's bringing out Eminem. They were just sure Eminem was going to come out. And when he did, some people were saying, oh, this fight's over. He, with the Fisher's net and everything, like, no, like, it's over. Like, mental game, slide at the Bud side. And it was just from that point going forward.
No, Brad, you want to know what's funny? Because, first of all, let me give a shout out to my boy Patrick from work, because he was over at my career watching the fight with me. But remember the fight before that, Cruz versus Cabrera, right?
Yeah.
And you saw Cabrera's camp, they looked like they just got some tees from a shop and just printed some text on that joint. And Cruz and them, they came out styling on them boys. Like, Cruz had the hat, he had to get up, and it was all matching and everything. So my boy Patrick was like, damn, this is like the last fight all over again. Like, you came out with some, we was like, who's this guy? Like, who are you? Like, this, like, whoever Spence brought out, he needed a Drake feature. Like, that's who he brought out. Yeah. And then you brought out a legend. Like Crawford came in wanting this joint. He really wanted it. Yeah.
I said this to T. I said, if he had came out with Slim Thugger and a chopped and screwed version of whatever song you want to pick, it would have been different.
Right.
The roof would have been like, oh crap, he got Slim Thugger. Like anybody from like Texas lore, he could have got. It would have made the difference because the crowd was still hyped and people had their phones out. But when Eminem was there, people lost their collective minds. Like I just
hate it for Spence because he just added another L to the Dallas area, man. Like
terrible.
Let me count it off for you. We got TCU getting trumped by Georgia. Rangers ain't doing a damn thing. Kyrie get traded to the Mavs and they didn't even make the play-in. We saw the Dallas Cowboys. The last player of their season was freaking Zeke at the damn center position.
Damn.
And now you got to add this to the equation, man. It's been a rough year for the Dallas sports area, man.
I should have known it was over when Jerry Jones was in his locker room.
I was just about to say
that. Because I actually watched First Hit today because Stephen A. be on his boxing stuff. Like we can talk with he be on when he said because he was there. He was like he saw the Cowboys lose a bunch of playoff games these last recent years, but the way Spence was getting beat up that fight, he looked at the Dallas players' face. He was like, they didn't even look like this after a playoff loss. That's how bad it was.
Errol's a legend in Texas, man.
And that's what I'm saying. He's a hero. That's what I'm saying. It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like it was like watching. If you was like a huge Batman fan at that Dark Knight Rises movie, and you just saw his ass getting whooped, and then it wasn't the fact that he got his ass whooped. This man blew a hole in the roof, and it was like, yeah, I took in all your shit too. So not only did I whip your so you see where I'm going with this. Not only did I whip your ass, I'm taking your belts too. Like I got your tech,
crazy.
I got your money, I got your broad, I got and Crawford was like, I got your belts. The correlation is the same to me.
Hey, but with everything that we're talking about right now, it goes to show, for one, everything in a fight sets the tone. Like from the weigh-in, from even the press conference that was on Thursday, the weigh-in on Friday, and then the ring walk and everything, like how you prepare for it, everything sets the tone. And Crawford advantage Crawford for doing bringing out Eminem, he set the tone.
He did.
He set the tone early. If you think about it, like
from Thursday, he set the tone. The
walkout was
just he was talking shit. The Spence crew. He was talking shit, and the walkout.
It was just something different. Like, because y'all know, on top of that, me and Brad, we actively watch wrestling a lot, so we know a lot about those things. Especially when it comes to like big time matches like that, whether it's WrestleMania, SummerSlam, you're gonna always have some type of grand entrance, some real big entrance. So for boxing now to start incorporating those things, because UFC started doing it a little bit ago as well too.
They
but
did,
for boxing now to start trying to incorporate those things, and for Spence not to take advantage of that, because Floyd was doing it for a long time. So for
Floyd
Spence,
did it every time.
Right?
Hey, let's say how calculated Floyd is. Floyd, when he fought De La Hoya, came out with a mariachi band and a sombrero.
Classic.
Like he played mind games with his interests when you fought Floyd.
And I'll say, going back to what you were saying, Dave, to add on to your point, when you saw them training, Bud was training in Colorado in that thin air.
Yes.
And you could train in Texas heat, but it is different when you go to Colorado. At altitude.
Mile high, man. It's mile high for a reason, bro. Like
you can train in the heat. You can train in the heat and everything, but you're not fighting outside.
Facts.
Yeah.
You fight in the air conditioned building.
That is facts.
Yeah. And also, Crawford is
important.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I mentioned that the way that you breathe. Because I've been in the ring. I've sparred with guys before, and the first time I sparred, you can definitely hyperventilate and not breathe correctly, and it will cost you. You have to know how to breathe. You have to condition your lungs to breathe and recover quickly. We only have a minute recover in between rounds, and you're in a 3-minute round. Bud was in better shape. Bud was ripped. We saw the footage. We saw the photos floating around the internet. He was ripped, bro.
And Stephen A. mentioned that to Errol. He was like, "Yo, have you seen your boy Bud lately? Like, Bud is like ripped." And asked Spence about that. Like,
this is why I go back to discipline. Bud, even though Bud actually had the hard time making the weight at the weigh-in, Bud was close. Bud was prepared to be at 147 much longer than Spence was. Spence probably started cutting right after they announced the fight, instead of like kind of already like getting his body prepared to be at 147. Where Bud was probably closer to that 147 mark, and his body was used to it. And I don't know what happened after the weigh-in and with as far as the hydration, but at the end of the day, Crawford was just a better fighter, man. Like we said that he was more skilled. We just want to see it against a guy that we felt like of equal caliber. Because I mean, Shawn Porter was a good test for Bud, but I want to say that they were equals. But honestly, looking back, and I know hindsight is 20/20, and I know Porter was a little bit older, but Bud actually knocked Porter out. Errol couldn't knock him out. We didn't think about, we mentioned it, but we actually didn't really think about it because we were like, okay, Porter was a little bit older, blah, blah, blah. But Bud actually knocked him out. He knocked Shawn Porter out. So we have to give Bud a little bit more credit than he got before. Like I said, he's a two-time undisputed champ. And to be quite honest with you, now we're going to go to the next subject because now this is what I really want to get into.
Hey, before you get into that, T, before you go to the next, I just want to mention one thing because I don't think we talked about it on the last episode as far as who had the most to lose as far as this fight. And I think it showed a lot, in my opinion, that Crawford had the most to lose because let's just say okay, Bud lost this fight. Everything that the knock on Bud has been, you ain't fought anybody top tier. You've been fighting all these low level guys. You ain't fought nobody top tier. You lose to Spence, everybody's gonna be like, see, look, you can't beat the best of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Spence lost. Now look at us. Look at how we're talking. We still respect Spence because we know that he's still a top fighter. It's just that the masterclass that Bud put on was just
dominance.
Just one of a million. One of a million.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that point before we move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So back to that point. So, this is trending on Twitter. There was actually a lot of things trending on Twitter after the fight.
Oh yeah.
There was Spence fans, there was Crawford fans, there was Canelo fans, there was Mayweather fans. It was getting ridiculous. It was crazy.
Getting really, really spicy on boxing Twitter.
Boxing Twitter is more toxic than NBA Twitter. I promise.
I mean,
boxing Twitter is different, dog.
Yeah, because
boxing Twitter, it's different, dog.
This is the most outside MMA. This is the most gladiator sport you can possibly get into. You're by yourself inside of a ring, so it's there's no help. It's you can't say, "Oh, the defense let me down," or the offense let me down, or we or somebody had a J.R. Smith moment in the playoffs or something. You are by yourself out there. So it's you're really representing yourself. So the fan base latch on to you. So like you said, I'm not even surprised that all this stuff came out because it's you treating these boxers like it's your homeboys, and a lot of people from Dallas was out there, and I just know that shit hurt. I just knew that shit hurt.
Boxing latches on just not countries but areas too. It's crazy. The toxicity
race,
that happened with race,
race, region, country.
Our Uber driver, I think, was either Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, yeah. He was on waiting for the undercard.
Crazy for the undercard fighter, the other Puerto Rican fighter. I mean, crazy in the
Not
Uber
Cruz was
car.
another one.
Had it on the Uber in his car on the Uber, driving
on his phone.
The arena on his phone. He
was going crazy. He was going crazy. So the reason why I bring up boxing Twitter because there's a couple of things trending, and I wanted y'all thoughts on it, especially BT. I'm curious to hear what BT has to say. So here's question number one: is Bud Crawford the best fighter pound for pound since Mayweather? We're talking Bud Crawford. Really, there's only three names that we're going to be talking about: Bud Crawford, Andre Ward, and Canelo Alvarez. BT, I'll let you start, and I'll let the others chime in, and I'll have my input as well.
All right, so let's talk about best. There's a difference between best and box office. you want to talk about box office, it's definitely Canelo. Like he's definitely the best box office fighter since Floyd. But if you want to talk about best, I'm giving it to Bud. Like his boxing skills is unmatched, man. Like this dude is a technician in the ring, bro. Like undisputed at 140, went up to 147, dominated 147, undisputed at 147. We're gonna talk about what he's gonna do next, but I have no doubts what he can do at 154. So yeah, I think he's the best fighter since Floyd. That's the easy question for me.
Anybody want who next?
I actually agree with BT there because he the way that he broke it down, the way that he explained it, perfect explanation for it. Like Canelo is the box office fighter that everybody's gonna run to no matter what, because you don't look for Bud to give you a payday, but you look for Bud to plus some ass.
I think Bud's gonna be the draw now.
He is.
This is what I kind of consider this to be. Like Bud is now like in that Giannis mode. I was about to say Tim Duncan, which you still can say Tim Duncan, but he's entering that Giannis mode now because before Giannis won the finals and everything, we was looking at it like he's nice, he's good, we knew what he was, but that finals performance that we saw from him, that 50-point game closeout, that was just something completely dominant. That was something completely different. So that's how I look at it. Now we're going to look at him at this point of expecting him to do these things.
I'll give you an example.
Go ahead, Kyle. I was going to add on to what Corey just said, but you go ahead, T.
You say Giannis. You know what Bud Crawford is? Kawhi Leonard, if he was completely 100% healthy. Surgical.
I said that after the fight. I said he reminds me of
nothing wasted.
You have a little bit more personality than Kawhi, but he's just surgical.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah.
Like no wasted movements, man. No wasted movements. Yeah.
So y'all saying like y'all comparing Bud to Giannis and Kawhi, and then that's good because I think it's Canelo like of a Kyrie or Irving in a sense like if there was a basketball player. If there was a basketball player that you was just like, if there was going to be like a one-on-one tournament, and they say Kyrie Irving is going to be there, or Kyrie Irving is going to be at the Drury, or Kyrie Irving is coming to the arena tonight, he could be on the trashiest team ever, but Kyrie is going to give you about 5 plays that's going to make you do like, how does he do it?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what Canelo like. Canelo's a good fighter, but like you said, like T pointed out earlier, but like Canelo just he's the stimulus package right now. Like this is the pandemic, and Canelo's giving out them stimulus checks. Like that's what TV saying all the time. That's what TV saying all the time. So, but it's like, but you just gotta look up. Like, there's no way you can watch that performance the other night and be like, post Mayweather, that there's nobody better than Crawford, especially like BT alluded to, undisputed in 2 weights. Never been done before.
4 belts, man. 4 belts.
4 belts.
Never been done before. Like, maybe T, Brad, BT, like, talk to me about it's like, since that hasn't been done before, like, where does that even put Crawford in the whole boxing run when you're talking about overall great boxers in history? Like,
see, I was gonna get to that later, but we're gonna talk about it right now. No, let's talk about it right now.
Let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah. If Bud Crawford goes up to 154, because Charlo's undisputed at 154.
Yeah.
If he goes up to 154 and takes Charlo's belts, and then it's a 3-division undisputed champ, we're gonna have some conversations, y'all. We're gonna have some real conversations, y'all.
You're gonna have to. Who's on your Mount Rushmore right now of boxers all time? If you had to give me a Mount Rushmore, if Bud does that at 154, is he on the Mount Rushmore?
He got to be in the Mount Rushmore.
He's got to be on the Mount Rushmore.
He got to be on him. If he do that, bro, he's on the Mount Rushmore, bro. Somebody got my Rushmore got to come off.
We talking since Floyd? We talking all time or since Floyd?
All time.
All time, bro.
There's 2 names I never remove. I'm never going to remove Ali, and I'm never going to remove Sugar Ray because they were both special.
Them 2.
Mayweather's up there, and then you that 4th spot now. If Bud goes to 154, that's cemented. You can't put nobody else on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion.
Yeah, my 4th spot a little bit different because I was like a big boxing fan growing up too. So mine, I like Sweet Pea. Pernell Whitaker, he was my 4th spot.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a homer. My 4th spot might go to Roy Jones in his prime. No, he got me into boxing. I bought Fight Night just because of that. I played that till the disc didn't work no more sometimes.
Roy Jones probably got a lot of us in the boxing if we're gonna be honest.
Roy put us all on like.
That personality stuff.
In the music videos and all that,
he's influence alone.
Y'all must have forgot.
We had Mike, but it won't big time until
we didn't get to see the best of Mike though.
Exactly.
Like we were small.
I have Mike. I have Tyson fourth just because off history, like just off fight.
Like what he brought, what Mike brought to the game. Like
I think
black boots, no socks. You knew
I think
the ring with, and it still intimidated you.
I think if honestly, this is going to sound because we know Mike Tyson and Tupac were so tight. I think if Tupac never got killed, Mike Tyson's profiles as a star would have been even higher than what it was because him and Tupac were like this. Tupac was taught him how to sell, fight, how to promote yourself. Because Tupac was one of the smartest people of that generation as far as how to sell to the masses.
He definitely was.
So but I'll be honest with you, bro. Mount Rushmore. That's one thing, but I mean, if you go undisputed at 3 divisions, bro, you're gonna have to start talking GOAT conversation. And I know, but the resume.
You're not lying.
Not the resume.
You're not lying.
And if he doesn't take a loss and becomes a 3-time undisputed, let's say he finishes his career as a 3-time undisputed champion, 3 divisions with no losses. Oh boy, him and Floyd.
With this history, he won't even gotta go 50-0. He could be 40-0. With this,
he's 40-0 now.
40-0 he didn't even gotta fight 10 more fights. He doesn't even have to do that, and it would still be up there with Floyd.
Of what he just did. It's scary what he still can get accomplished.
Because I mean, if you line him up with Charlo right now, I'm taking Bud Crawford.
I'm taking Bud easily. I don't really see nobody who can mess with him at 154. To be honest with you, bro, I really don't.
After what I just saw, because it's like you gotta understand what Charles got to do. Charles got to psychologically get himself ready to fight the dude that just tore down his hero. Exactly. It's going to be more of a that's going to be more of a to me that's going to be more of a mental game that Charles got to get over that hurdle for him to even try to step in with Bud right now.
Not only that, I don't think people can't comprehend how disrespectful it is that in the middle of the fight while the rest giving the count, he went up to Charlo, grabbed his dick and like, I'm that nigga, you're next. And then turn around and go back to the fight. That is ridiculous levels of disrespect.
Bro, we just saw you get slapped by a plant in the back, bro. It's like
to be fair, that was the other Charlo brother.
That was Charlo, yeah.
Well, both of them was getting sucker that weekend. Both of them was getting sucker that weekend.
Oh man.
Then the wives fighting in the backstage too. So you
got one of the Charlo brothers ex-girlfriend's fighting with his current wife. It was a bad week for the Charlo bros, bro.
Really
girl got her ass beat, boy.
They took
God.
Yeah.
But we talk about I am him moments. Like that's up there. That's I am him moments all the time, bro. He really knocked he knocked this man's hero out. Your Texas boy walked up, like I said, he and then it's like, you're next. And then after the fight, he was talking shit because when he went up to the ropes and was pointing at somebody, he was pointing right at Charlo.
He was pointing at Charlo.
Yeah.
I think Bud respected Errol. I think he absolutely hates Charlo. There's no respect there.
I
can see that.
He definitely respected Spence because he was pulling up the end of the fight when he knew he was up on the cards. He started letting up a whole
Bud,
he could have ended that joint easy.
Bud could have really hurt
He could have ended it earlier.
Bud could have really hurt him, bro.
Yeah,
he really could have.
There was something he was locked in on him, but he was like he could have hit Spence a lot harder with his jab.
Time Spence threw the weakest body hook I ever saw, and if Bud Crawford didn't have respect for him, he could have just reared back and destroyed him at that moment, and he did. He kind of
let's give a shout out. Give a shout out to the ref for stopping the fight when it had to be still shout out to him because it didn't need to go further. Shout out to Spence for trying to keep going. He was trying to get the miracle punch in somewhere, but it just wasn't there for him that night. It just wasn't.
You can right when the referee stopped the fight. They was
why you stop it? Yeah.
Errol's face was like, buh.
There were people sitting below us. There were older guys saying, "What is this corner going to do?" Because there were people seriously starting to get concerned around round 6. Like, yo,
round 4, his face was redder than a Skittle, bro. Like,
it really
dude,
was.
It was like, man,
his eye looked bad. I was like,
I think round 3 or 4 when his eye went out. I was like, yeah, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he had that eye injury.
The attachment.
Yeah, that's why people are concerned about his long-term health because the accident and then the eye injury and then to get beat like that.
I'm glad you brought that because he was in multiple accidents. Did you know that?
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that until today.
The second one wasn't as worse as the first one, though. The second one wasn't
He counted out 3.
3 accidents, bro.
He counted out 3 of them joints.
One, he messed up his leg real bad.
So, like the big one is with the Ferrari flipping over.
Yeah.
He had another one. He had another one where someone he got his car jacked or something, or his mom.
His mom's dead. His mom's dead.
And then I forgot about the other one, but that's
he got rear-ended. He got rear-ended.
He got rear-ended. 3 accidents, bro. And I know Stephen A. was talking about retirement. I wouldn't go that far.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
But you know how Stephen A. Smith, like, he wanted Kawhi to retire because he wasn't playing. But it's just like, because he's sitting out games and everything. But it's like I'm gonna be real and speak from experience. Like, don't joints add up at some point. Like you say, like, he wants to rematch in December. T, you brought it up. You said he needs to wait, and you can talk more about that. But he shouldn't fight for the rest of the year.
He needs to wait at least 1 more year. His next fight needs to be a year from now, at least.
I'll say like around April.
I was thinking, you read my mind.
That's like 10. That's 10 months.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. He don't need another long layoff like that, though. I'll give him like December. Nah.
No.
Like, we all seen Creed 2 when he had to go against Young Drago and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of layup he needs. Like, it was a bad beat, and of course in the movie they found a way to make sure he didn't lose the damn belt. That was corny, but like other than that, like he had to take a long layup because he had to get his body right. He had family stuff going on and everything. So like, I think and he had to get his mental right. That was one of the big. He had to get his mental right to even step back in the ring against Drago. So like, I hope he kind of does something like that, just for his sake. Like, you don't gotta rush it, man.
BT, I want to ask you a question because you're a Spence guy. I also want to get T and the rest of y'all. I asked T this afterwards. What is Spence's plan B? Well, what can he do different from 147 to 154 that gives you any amount of hope we could possibly make this a trilogy? Because the only way this becomes a trilogy is if he wins the second fight. Is there any path forward, or is this what Spence is in this type of fighter, with him being a very inside, very forward, in your face, I'm going to rush you type of fighter? I just want to get y'all opinion on that.
Spence got to hit tape hard.
Yeah.
There's really, because he is who he is, it's hard to change up your whole style at 33 years old and learn a completely new way. I mean, there's a couple of things he can do. One, he has to move off the line. Like I said, when you are a fighter, we're taught to throw a jab. So I'm right-handed, so I throw my jab with the left hand. You jab and you subtly move off the line, even as you're throwing the punch, because you stay on the line, you are a sitting duck.
You're getting clocked.
You see, when Crawford jabbed, like I said, he actually came with his power hand to block, and he would move subtly here or subtly here, set either a straight, or if he was over here, he can turn his body to throw the hook. So he has more head movement.
Yeah,
could help him.
Better defense.
Better defense.
Yes.
Better footwork.
He's got to take that lunging out of his game. That lunge.
But that's who he is, though. That's who he is.
That's the one thing I watched in the lead up to the fight. I watched something again. Thank you, Terence. They said he lunges on a lot of his jabs, and it became apparent halfway through the fight that Crawford Bomac even said it. It was like, you take away Spence's jab, he sets up everything off the jab. When you take away his jab, what do you have? And nobody can answer that question because there wasn't any. You take away his jab, it was done. And they did a masterclass of taking away the jab, and as Terence said, slightly blocking, moving, and then popping him with whatever he wanted to hit him with. If it was a stiff jab, if it was a looping hook, if it was a short uppercut, anything he wanted to hit Spence with at that moment, he could do because Spence just stayed in that pocket. He has got to learn to bob and weave and slip out of those pockets when he throws those punches. Or at 154, we're looking at the same result. It might get to the 11th. It might go to judges, but I don't know if Bud will let it go to judges again.
I want to follow up on something you said, Brad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good, bro.
Like we talked about taking away Spence's jab, or like when Bomac said that. So when you take away Spence's jab, and Spence talked about like during the post fight press conference that he just kept saying like my timing is off. My timing was off. I couldn't. Bud was just a better fighter tonight. My timing was just off. Well, the timing was off because the jab was taken away, and because the jab was taken away, Bud forced Spence to be off balance like half of the fight. And Spence, and see, you broke it down as far as like when his foot was up in the air in round 2 before that first knockdown. You like there was a lot of. I mean, I know Bud lived off a lot of counterpunching, in this fight as well, and he was able to do some damage there too, but Spence could not get a rhythm going, and he depends on his jab a lot to get his rhythm going. And when Bud takes away that, it affected the timing, it affected his rhythm, and that's the result you get. You're not able to last and you're not able to land as many punches as you're able to because because you're off balance so much, your legs are so far apart, and even like before that first knockdown, even I think in all the knockdowns. His legs were like almost like I don't know.
He was on one leg. His leg was in the air.
It was really undisciplined.
One leg was really far apart. His stance was really wide, and when Bud caught him, he actually had to step back so far. He had one leg in the air on a lot of his knockdowns. That's why he dropped so quickly because he was completely off balance.
The one thing that casuals won't understand is the fact that when they say your foot placement. Bud's foot placement was impeccable. He was inside of the lead foot of Spence the entire fight. And when you're inside the lead foot, 9 times out of 10, you can control the fight. Not saying every time, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to control that fight because I am inside your lead foot. I can do what I want to. If I want to come inside, great. If I want to counterpunch you, even better. And Spence could just never find a way to get inside of Crawford's inside foot and find that range, as T and Dave said, just he never found that range. And I saw it live. He could never get comfortable.
Yep, and also, and remember Brian said he came out southpaw because like up there it was kind of hard to see all the little fine details from up top. But there were times where Bud actually switched stances. It was so subtle. He
so quick
because of the angles and because he was actually pushing Crawford to the outside. He was able to transition into orthodox and land a right, which is really his power hand. Yeah, the massive rights. That's really his power hand in orthodox. He was able to subtly switch it. Remember, I said that Bud has that ability to switch hit.
Yeah,
arguably probably the greatest switch hit boxer we've ever seen. Being able to switch from southpaw to orthodox and back that we've ever seen.
I'll say recently. I don't know. I have to think about that.
I mean, yeah, because like, who are some of like the better like switch hitter like boxers in history?
I have to really like break down.
I'd have to do some research. I don't know if
I'll be honest with you. Floyd at times could switch. He didn't do it often, but he's done it before.
Floyd would switch up on you every now and then.
But as far as like just being comfortable in both positions, like that's really hard.
It's hard for you to have both. Terence said it best. It's hard for you to have both your hands be your power hand. That's the scary thought. And I said this the other day to Terence and a few of our other friends that watched the fight was that we never found out what Crawford's plan B was because he never even needed it. That's the scary thought. Like, what was plan B? Like, if plan A was this good, was plan B just as good or even better? We never had to find out. And that's the scary thought.
If he had to, he would have went to orthodox. That's where he really starts to like.
And it might would have got worse. Because
he came out in southpaw, but normally there are times where he starts out in southpaw or orthodox and goes to southpaw, and then he starts out in southpaw and goes to orthodox. So, like, he didn't have to go to plan B, but like, he had a game plan that was just like crazy. But like, this is boxing. Like, sometimes on any given night, somebody's just better. And I hope that the next fight is better. Their rematch, if they even do a rematch, because Errol said he want a rematch, but if he sits back and think about it, I don't know. He'll probably take the rematch because it's gonna be a big money fight. I hope Spence, because all that talk about money in the bag earlier. I hope Spence isn't. I hope he finds his hunger again, and all that. We're making history stuff. Just gotta go out the window in the rematch. Like, that's gotta be something that you don't like about this man.
Do you think, T, that this will bring that hunger out of him, losing like the way he lost? Because Stephen A. made that point. It wasn't the fact you lost. It was in the fashion that you got.
How you lost,
How you lost makes a lot of the difference.
I mean, we're just going to see what type of fire Spencer is going to be after this. Like, either this really affects him for the rest of his career and he can never come back, or he's really going to go back to his roots where it all began and going to be like, that wasn't me on Saturday night. That just was not me. Like y'all keep saying, like, throughout the whole pod, like, he just didn't look like himself. He looked like he was on. Like, I hope he didn't go to Planet 13 before the fight. If you don't,
I hope he didn't.
Or not Dreas or Blue Martini or whatever.
So I'm hoping like you said, that hunger come back, like, take it back to like when J. Cole was trying to get on the scene type hunger. Like, that's the hunger he needs to be on when he want to get back in this ring.
I'll say this: if anybody can bounce back, because look at what Errol Spence has had to overcome.
Yeah,
the car accidents and stuff.
The retina.
We didn't give Bud Crawford enough credit for some of the things that he's been through his life. That man got shot in the head. It drove him to the hospital. Yes.
Yeah, he got shot. Nah, it's like he got shot in the back of the head while counting money after a dice game.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until
Yo, he's different.
I was like,
he a different nigga. I wish I would have knew this before.
I found that out like right after he won. Like the commentator said it. I was like, yo.
When I watched the timeline, they covered everything.
He alive after that?
Yes. He'd been shooting dice.
Hey! I had to hit the shack on that. I was like, I'm sorry, I was unfamiliar with your game, brother.
Golly. After that, I was like, oh shit.
When I heard that, I was like, yo, both these guys have been through incredible stuff outside of the ring.
That's crazy.
They're both warriors in their own right.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, man. But it was definitely special. I highly recommend. You gotta go to Vegas for a fight, whether it's UFC or boxing, at least once in your life.
Just go.
Trust me. If they somehow get this Tank and Shakur fight to be in Vegas, I'm in that joint.
I think
I'm in that bit. I'm in that bit.
Our goal is to have all of us there, and we do a live broadcast after the fight.
That'd be live.
I'm in that bitch.
That'd be lit.
Hopefully, Al Heyman lets take out the PVC protection program, because now, after thinking about it, Shakur is very similar to Bud Crawford, and Tank's not similar to Errol, but he has that star power and stuff. He's a PVC fighter, but people know that Shakur's a better boxer. And I'm very curious to see how Al Heyman handles his fighters after this, because it is boxing, there's politics, there's promotion groups and stuff, And
they can't kill the momentum, man. They can't kill the momentum. They've been saying that shit. No, they've been saying that shit up all year. You can't kill the momentum after this one fight, though.
No, you can't. But like I said, the reason why I brought up PBC because PBC also handles the Charlo Bros, and Jermell Charlo he's going to get beat by Canelo.
He is.
They better pump all the promo they can to Tank Davis and get him the fight, because Errol's a star. He'll bounce back. I'm not worried about Errol. But Charlo gets embarrassed by Canelo and then gets embarrassed by Crawford at 154. Good luck trying to sell Charlo.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And they like one of the topics I've seen on Twitter, and I don't whatever, man. But there's like PBC fighters when they actually fight top rank fighters, they don't do well.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah. I think he actually brought up I think he actually put it through. I wish I had the tweet in front of me. I would pull it up, but yeah, that was one of the discussions on Twitter afterwards. I was going on Twitter. I'm out in Vegas, so 3 hour time news. I'm up late. People were just firing off all this different stuff.
Yeah, T was bringing up all types of agendas while we were out after the fight, and the agendas on Twitter were outrageous.
I bet they were.
T was like,
every 5 minutes. Boxing Twitter, a whole different world, boy.
It's a whole different world.
But
like the internet wrestling community is weird. The boxing community is weird.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm thinking back like these crossover promotion fights, and I hate Tyson Fury. But he's a top ranked fighter, and he beat Wilder twice. Bud Crawford was a top ranked fighter. He had to get off top rank to make the fight, but I mean, he came up in top rank and beat Errol Spence. Canelo was never on top rank. He's been a free agent for forever. But
yeah.
PBC, they looking a little funny. They look a little funny in the light right now.
They're looking funny. They're looking funny, T.
They look a little funny right now, man. I hate it, bro. Because Errol's my guy. Like I like Errol Spence, I really do, man. But Bud Crawford's just the better fighter tonight. But I mean, this is what happens though when you start, these promotional wars and stuff and all stuff, and you ban media members from ESPN because ESPN covers. They show top ranked fights. So Mike Coppinger, that works on ESPN, was banned from media credentials. He was there at the fight, but he just didn't have the press creds. Max Kellerman, I think, was banned. I think they didn't let Max. Yeah, Al Haymon didn't let Max Kellerman in there.
Oh, hey, man.
I was wondering why Max wasn't there.
Yeah, Max was not.
Well,
there.
Max don't got a job right now, so so how you gonna get in there? But I'm not even trying to be funny, but like,
I mean,
could we like Max and when Max talked about boxing? So
the reason why Max Kellerman got banned was because he said he called Errol Spence a duck, basically saying that PBC. He pretty much called Al Haymon and PBC out on ESPN, said they were ducking Crawford.
I mean, a man's entitled to his opinion, but we've seen Max been wrong plenty of times. Remember, he was hanging on to that Brady Cliff agenda for like 5 years past when he said that joint. 3 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls later, he's still trying to cling onto that Cliff take. So I don't know why they took it so serious, man. Like,
yeah, man. But Timothy Bradley, I can't stand Timothy Bradley, but he took his victory lap. He got called out for it though.
He got called out.
So basically, like I said, Patrick Beverly, like when they won the play-in game to get into the playoffs, that was his victory lap.
Yeah,
there we go.
That was him taking off his
a clock is right twice a day. So I mean, we get it. I mean, kudos.
I told you.
Elite slander about him.
No, here's what they're like. Yeah, people were like, "Yeah, you dick riding Crawford because he whooped your ass in the sparring session." Then let's not forget that Timothy Bradley was ducking Errol Spence for a long time too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Why we keep talking about this bitch ass nigga, man?
Here we go. We got one in. Hour 14 minutes. We got it.
Go ahead, bro.
I just want to know why we keep bringing this bitch ass nigga up, bro.
We got it. We did it. We fucking did it, y'all.
Go ahead.
You good. No,
but I'm in tears right now.
No, the funniest shit though was like, the funniest shit was like, somebody brought up Bradley's commentary and anyone talks about, Fulton was blocking these punches when he clearly wasn't. Like Timothy Bradley, bro, just
he trash, bro. Like this nigga trash, dog. Like they gave him that fight against Pacquiao, bro. Like that's what he living off of.
Man, don't get me started. Do not get me started. Do not get me started.
Never forget that picture.
Pacquiao was my boy. Pacquiao's my boy.
He was like,
son, he looked worse than Apollo Creed after he won the fight against Rocky in the first joint, bro. Like when he came out, he was like, "There ain't gonna be no rematch." I see why you don't want no rematch. You look ugly as fuck, my boy. Like,
and they just gave it to Bradley for whatever reason.
They just gave him that fight, bro. So he live off that, bro. Like he not him. He's not.
Some refs got paid that night, man. So refs might have got paid that night.
It's Vegas. The mafia's still around somewhere.
No, the only thing that I was, curious to see, like, if it came down to the judges, where were they going to lean?
Yeah, you saw what they did. I'm glad you brought up because what they did in that Cruz fight was atrocious.
What they did
was some dirty work. There was some dirty work there.
Split decision?
Yeah, that was whack.
How? Me and Terence each other was like a split decision.
Even with the point deduction, how?
That was trash, man.
But boxing is giving us the fights that we want. I hope fighters take, Tank Davis's lead, fighting Ryan Garcia and Bud and Errol fighting. Get these fights made, man. Don't be afraid to put it on the line. I actually have more respect for Errol in defeat than I had in any victory I've seen him. So
exactly, man.
Mad respect to Errol.
Exactly.
Mad respect.
Yeah.
It's the O on the line, the belt's on the line, everything on the line.
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
man, he gonna bounce back.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like I know we're in the era of like we like to troll, we gotta make fun of the loser, we gotta get these jokes off and everything, but we still gotta respect Errol as a great fighter that he is. Like he was really collecting them belts, he was lining them up, knocking them down. The better man just won on Saturday night, and that's all. That it is what it is.
That's all it is, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like, but you still gotta give Errol his respect. You still gotta think of him as a top fighter. Do not even try to think of him as a lesser fighter because of how he went down. Please still give him his respect.
All the greats got L's, man. So
right,
the great tap L's.
I want to make this comparison real quick because shout out Lethal Shooter on Instagram because with Lethal Shooter and I'm gonna make this comparison as far as like making shots and boxing because I think in boxing I like you want to see more fighters put their 0 losses up, and we respect Spence for doing that. We even respect Ryan Garcia for doing that earlier this year. So I would say, okay, like you do that, you fight, no matter how it goes, you lose, okay, like you still like a great fighter, but don't lose 2 in a row. That like that's how I look at it. Like don't lose 2 in a row because that's like come on, like you got to bounce back. And I say like Lethal Shooter will miss a shot and be like, nah, I'm not gonna miss 2 in a row. So that's how I look at it. Like
I mean, definitely, but like even if they did a rematch and Bud won again. I'm still gonna have a high level respect for Errol Spence. Is that Bud Crawford is just on like he just went to another level. Yeah. He just had another gear that I haven't seen a fighter in a long time.
Yeah. That was a masterpiece he painted in that
levels, dog.
And this is what we wanted to see from Crawford. This is all we wanted to see. We knew that you're great. We knew that you had the skills. We just wanted to see you go up against somebody that's near your level.
And I think that's why it was so great of a performance, bro, because he knew he had to train for this shit, bro. Like
exactly.
And you could tell he trained, he took this serious.
Yeah, because
he didn't leave no leaves unturned, bro. Like
no.
And that's the thing. That's how I feel about Spence. I feel like Spence didn't train properly for this. He didn't go in for the correct preparation. Like I don't know how much tape he looked at because he could have definitely looked at more because you just let your best weapon get taken away like that without any type of plan B. Like, and there's no disrespect because we know how much how great of a fighter that he is, but it's just some things that you just can't sit and allow to happen without thinking what your backup option is going to be.
I think for Errol, the best fight that he could have watched on Bud Crawford was probably the Sean Porter fight because even Bomac at one point in the fight saying he's telling Crawford like you got to go, come on now, you're down the cards now. Whether he was down the cards or not, I gotta rewatch that fight and see. But there was actually a warrior in Crawford's camp, and I was like, Errol, fought Sean Porter. They fight somewhere, they fight right in front of each other. Like he could have maybe, but then again, maybe Bud didn't take Crawford serious. I mean, not Crawford, Porter as serious as he took this fight. And I mean, hell, even we've actually seen Bud go down before.
Yeah.
He's been down before. Yeah, we seen Bud kind of. Yeah, we seen Bud kind of BS around some fights and whatever, but this fight, because of what was on the line, and like I said, all the noise, like he was locked in and went to another zone. Like, and sometimes when you fight somebody that you know is great, it takes you to another level. Because like like some of the other guys are good fighters, but they're not on the. Bud knew they weren't on his level, so he could mess around and BS a little bit. We saw that Kashawn Davis, we was fighting a couple weeks ago on ESPN. He was bored and took some shots he didn't need to take, or fight lasted longer than it needed to be. Sometimes that happens with fighters; like they get bored.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew that he could not get bored in this fight. He had to like come out early. That's why I said Bud's probably going to have to start faster than he normally does, which he did.
He did.
Because one, you don't want to be down the scorecards early, especially with these judges in boxing. And two, you give Errol confidence early, Errol can punish you for it. So
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Errol being a quick starter, right? That didn't work out in his favor this time, but listen, like if that actually like helped kind of propel him into like past round 2, round 3, we might be talking about a different fight here. Maybe the same result, but like maybe a different way of how the fight went.
That round 2 knockout just changed the whole fight.
Everything was downhill from there.
I was just about
to change the whole fight.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like in an alternate universe, if that knockdown does not happen in round 2, are we scoring that round for Spence, or are we scoring that round for Bud?
I think so. I thought Spence was getting it.
I thought Spence was Spence round.
Until that knockout. Knockdown.
Because arguably Spence won round 1.
Yeah.
He did round 1.
Spence going into round 3, that changes the whole mentality of the fight.
Yes.
Just that not happening, but me and T being there, that knockdown, it happened so quick and so it happened out of nowhere. I think all the Spence fans, I think, were in shock when it happened. The crowd erupted, and everybody was like, "What just happened?"
What?
It happened like the last 20 seconds of the second round.
Honestly, and to be honest with you, if there was another 10 seconds of the round, I don't know, buddy. I don't know if Spence gets out of round 2 if there was another 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If
like he got saved by the bell.
Yeah,
he got saved by the bell.
Even Spence fans were admitting that in the crowd that he got saved by the bell because they don't know what would have happened.
That second knockdown for sure. It happened right when the bell rang.
It was just something to be seen, man. But
it was.
We got some more big fights coming up, man. So we'll definitely talk about them. We got Canelo coming up, and there's so many fights coming up, man. Like
Devin fighting Regis.
Yes, probably setting up probably Haney versus Teofimo Lopez. You want to talk about toxic? You want to talk
about trash talking?
We need that.
Crazy.
That press conference.
Hey T, so now Crawford, he's just him right now. Like, who do you think should be his next fight? Like, now that he's got the belts, like, who should be the next fighter? Who's the top challenger? Who's the next fight? Like, who you think?
It has to be Boots in this.
Boots in this at 147.
147, yeah.
At 147, but Boots, he ain't ready, man.
He's not ready, bro. He ain't ready.
He ain't ready, man. Honestly,
I don't know the way they be talking about, like, yo, he the one.
Boots is nice, but he ain't ready.
The way this is gonna be like Stephen A was talking about that earlier, that Boots would be next up, but
this is gonna be like when Canelo fought Floyd.
Okay.
Boots is a young fighter. He's about to get taken to school by the master. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly how it's going to play out. Boots is a young up-and-coming fighter. Hey, he has a lot of fans. He has some knockout power. He has a following. But Floyd, when he fought Canelo, was the master, and right now Terence Crawford is the master.
Yep.
It might actually be the best thing to happen to Boots in his career long term, but as of right now, ain't no way, bro. I don't see it, bro.
Is Boots undefeated?
Yeah.
Yeah, he undefeated.
Yeah, he undefeated.
Okay.
But again, he hasn't fought anybody near this level.
Oh man,
right.
we got another Buzz situation coming, man.
He ain't fought nobody near this level, man. Like, I'm not even hating on Boots. Like, he's up and coming, but he's not there yet.
I mean, we all know there's levels to it. So I was just curious because I'm also curious. No, okay, go ahead. I gotta say.
As far as 154 goes, I mean, it has to be Charlo. I don't care about anybody else at 154. Sue was supposed to fight Charlo, but go ahead and make that fight after Charlo loses to Canelo, because I'm gonna find it very hard to see Charlo going up to 168 and beating Canelo.
Is he fighting at 168?
Yes, and Canelo's put his belts on the line at 168.
Well, that's not going to work out for him. Damn.
Wow.
Now, if that fight was at 160, if that was at 160,
I thought it was a catch weight.
No, it's at 168.
Never mind. Well,
Dang.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge ask, because we talk about fighters cutting and draining, but sometimes you have to go up weight class. It can drain you too.
Yeah.
If you're not used to being at that weight, if that's not your natural fighting weight. One thing I talked about earlier about Canelo, that man went from 147 to 175, and he actually won belts at 175. He was never undisputed. He got beat by Bivol, and then Arthur Beterbiev had a belt,
and that's a dramatic change in weight.
You don't see that often. That's why Canelo for a long time was pound for pound number one until he lost to Bivol. Because you just don't see fighters start off at 147 and go all the way up to 160. That's a 30-pound jump.
Yeah.
He went from welterweight to light heavyweight and win a belt is insane. You don't see that at all, really, in all of combat sports, to be honest. That is insane.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dre.
My bad. I'm just curious because I know I got all these boxing knowledge people up here. So I think this is like the third time I've seen Cruz on that undercard right before the main event. So what's next for Cruz? Like, when do you think will he ever get that chance to get a main event fight? Is he just not ready yet?
I'll be honest with you. He actually gave Tank Davis a good fight. There were actually people who
he did.
He actually gave Tank Davis one of his toughest fights ever. Actually,
right? Yeah,
because his style, the way he fights in his style, Cruz is gonna keep coming.
Right.
Could he get a rematch versus Tank? Maybe. Shakur's been calling Cruz out.
Ryan Garcia called Cruz out.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia's called Cruz out. I think Ryan Garcia's gonna fight Rolly Romero next.
Oh my! We brought this man up again, bro.
Go for
three BT. Go for three BT. Go for three BT,
bro. But we gotta
let it go. It's in the chamber. Go ahead, bro. Just let it go.
Why we bringing up these bitch ass niggas, man?
Here we go. Get the counter up.
I'm just saying, bro. But yeah, he probably gonna fight him though, bro. I can see that.
That's
gonna be a sassy ass fight, boy. I tell you.
Rolly and Garcia.
He's gonna fight Roly Poly, man.
Hey, yeah.
But yeah, man, we're coming up on the 90-minute mark, man. The last couple episodes have been long just because we really had to break down these fights and what happened. You don't get a fight like this often, so we had to really break it down, and the banter and the agendas after the fight. We had to talk about it all. But
so is it time? Is it time?
It's time, fellas.
It's time.
It's time. We are going to transition. We'll still do boxing for sure, but it's time, fellas. August 1st is tomorrow. Training camps have started. Desmond Ritter looks like trash.
Oh, here we go.
Bars.
I'm straight.
Hey, bro,
I love it.
It's toxic. It's good.
How you hide your starting QB in the videos of all them terrible passes, bro? They're not even the Falcons not even showing the quarterback, bro.
Let's go. Talk that shit. Talk that shit.
Shit, Corey alive. Corey coming alive.
Corey came alive.
Here we go.
Hey, can we talk about Bryce Young's ball placement in training camp, bro?
Yes.
Can we talk about
Already.
that, man?
Already.
Can we talk about
coming
that?
of Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Hey, chill out, bro.
Hey man, next week my plan is actually go to the joint practice when the Panthers go up against the Jets before their preseason game next week. Now the joint practices are more competitive than the actual preseason game, so that's really going to be eye opening to see where Bryce Young is versus Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And
Jets, I'm gonna be honest though. I do think that's a really good opportunity for Bryce Young. I'm glad that Frank Wright and the team actually put that together with the Jets, because now you have Bryce Young getting the opportunity to pick the brain of an Aaron Rodgers, someone who has won multiple MVPs, who has won a Super Bowl. Like, just having that chance to really reach out and speak to them, exchange numbers, and like just getting in a different mindset is going to prepare you for you. Not only
Aaron Rodgers going to do that.
You got a good point. We know how he is,
but you can try.
He's not his teammate, so he might do it, bro. He might do it for a dude.
No, you're right. That's not his teammate.
And they're not in the same division.
And he in the AFC now, so it's a little bit different, man.
The only way they really gonna see each other is gonna be if it's the Super Bowl.
The only way man.
If there's one thing Aaron Rodgers gonna do, he's gonna talk shit about somebody in the NFL, bro. He gonna talk shit about somebody.
For the past couple days.
Hey, we got to save this joint. Bro. I know we heated, but yeah, we got. Hey, y'all, as you can see, we're ready. As you can see, we're ready. We're ready.
From here on out, it's gonna be a lot of football talk, man. We're gonna start our NFL division breakdowns, and also it's time to talk college football as well. And you know what time it is. September 3rd.
LSU, baby. LSU. Y'all know what it is.
But we got to talk about Florida State and Clemson leaving the ACC, because I told y'all that there were rumors and mumbling going by FSU leaving the ACC media day last week. We see all this stuff coming out now.
Yeah.
College football landscape might be different in 2 to 3 years. So.
Colorado going to the Big 12.
Yep.
Big 12 trying to add more teams. This
UCLA, bro. USC and UCLA gonna be playing on Central Time every week, bro. Like, that's crazy.
No, I can't wait to see that first snow game in Ohio State and Michigan. That shit gonna be funny, bro.
We got Trojan players. Like, do we have long sleeve Under Armours? Like,
yeah, man.
Y'all didn't tell us it was gonna be cold out here.
Hey, look, Caleb Williams from the air, so he should be used to it. Just go out there and ball, man.
Yeah, man. But when we started the pod, we were all about hoops, and then summer, that gap between hoops and football is a lot of boxing that kind of carried us over. But now it's all football from here until February. So it's gonna be balls to the wall from here on out. For a lot of football, we're gonna break down what's happening each week, college and pro. Basketball's around the corner. NBA training camp is not that far away.
Nope.
So we're definitely gonna get back into hoops, and of course, any fights coming up as well, man. Yeah, man. But we appreciate y'all listening, man. First join on YouTube did quite well compared to what we normally do. We appreciate y'all listening in. We actually got some subscribers out in Vegas. Shout out to Brad. He stayed focused. I got distracted by something, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Shout out to the GM. Shout out to the GM.
My guy.
I just want to say I want to thank everybody for that is now newly following us, y'all. We thank y'all. Thank you for Ant and B from down south in Texas for allowing me to interview them outside the Flamingo, and anybody else that I met that's following us now. Thank y'all for y'all love and support, and just thank the bros on this pod for allowing me to be here and do it up for y'all in Vegas. Me and T had an awesome time out there, and we really enjoyed.
Glad y'all did, man, for sure.
And
love it when you see your people live their dreams out, man. You just gotta love it, man.
Yeah, man.
For sure. There ain't no haters in this crew, man. So
nah.
Because the next time we bring in everybody, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. We will be out there in full force.
No, we out there.
I'm with it.
Yes, sir.
I'm with it.
Yep.
Yeah. This is Sal's and Ford. We'll see y'all next week. We talking football, and we out, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate
y'all.